Thank you, Acting Secretary Sue, for being here with us today. As we discussed yesterday, you know that this past year I've been working with a bipartisan group of my colleagues to explore ways to improve access to paid family and medical leave. In January, our Paid Family Leave Working Group identified several areas of consensus among the members of the group and released a legislative framework with 4 pillars. One of these pillars included a proposal to create an interstate paid leave action network, known as the I-Plan, to drive coordination and harmonization across the growing numbers of states with paid leave programs. While these states share a common purpose in providing workers with access to these critical benefits, they were not built and designed to function in tandem with the program of another state, let alone the structural variations of programs implemented in now 13 states and DC. This siloed approach has presented many challenges for workers, states, and employers, and is one of the top issues we hear about from our large employers with multiple locations around the U.S. The I-Plan would incentivize states with paid leave programs to create, adopt, and improve on interstate agreements to simplify the process for workers accessing these benefits, providing employers a way to offer a consistent paid leave benefit to their employees, and improve the affordability of benefits across states for an increasingly mobile workforce. My question is this, Secretary Sue: how would improving timeliness, accuracy, and portability, all purposes of the I-Plan, help boost workers' access to state paid leave benefits?
Congresswoman, thank you so much. And I very much enjoyed our conversation about at least 2 issues that we both care deeply about: this and creating real opportunities in rural communities. So we are, the president says this often, the only industrialized nation that does not have a national paid leave policy. And this is costly. It's costly in the ways that I mentioned earlier. Our study that demonstrates that if we had one and invested in other kinds of supports, right, in infrastructure that can support mostly working women, but working individuals, we could improve our economy to the tune of $775 million a year. This is significant. We also, through our Women's Bureau, do work to track and make sure that we know and states know what other state leave policies there are, right? So states can learn from each other. In the absence of a national policy, states can learn from one another. States can share stories about what's working and what's not, what some of the challenges of implementation are. So those are also some of the ways that we approach this space.
Sure, great. And right now there's no shared technological systems across states with paid leave programs, which differs from other social insurance programs like unemployment and insurance. How does the absence of a shared technological system make it difficult for state paid leave programs to combat fraud and ensure program integrity?
That is a very interesting question. I will approach it from an angle that I know, because it's something that we've been working on for the last few years, which is in the unemployment insurance space, we have seen that the lack of a national national efforts to combat fraud can be very damaging. It's very difficult for states to do a state-by-state effort, and it makes sense to have systems in which there can be information sharing, but also flagging of different practices. So I am very happy to talk to you more about what that could look like in the area that you're talking about.
Wonderful. In the final fiscal year 2024 appropriations package, report language was included to encourage the Women's Bureau to coordinate a campaign designed to increase awareness of the tax credits for paid family and medical leave authorized under Section 45S of the Internal Revenue Code. How do you envision this 45S awareness campaign will be implemented, and will the Women's Bureau be working with other federal agencies and outside stakeholders to increase awareness of the 45S tax credit?
Yes, and this is another space I'd be very happy to follow up with you and have our staff work together so that we tap into your expertise and the ways that we can improve that outreach. I think, again, what you're saying is true. It can be confusing, especially for employers who operate in multiple states. That is why a national policy is so important. But in the absence of that, very happy to work with you on this issue.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.